Hi, I'm Rachel Anthony. Welcome back to my channel for another Writing Wednesday. For those of you who are new here, let me introduce myself. I am Rachel Anthony. I am an indie author and I just published my debut novel, A Time for Us, in January of this year. So I created this channel so I could come on and share my journey with other indie authors, and hopefully some of my experiences can help you in your journey, and hopefully you'll take the time to subscribe, like, and share and comment some of the things that you're experiencing in your journey that I can learn from you. I was inspired to start the channel because of me following other indie authors on YouTube, and I learned so much from them. Some of my experiences have been different than theirs, and I figured I'll share my experiences and hopefully others can learn from me as well. So what I want to talk about today is pivoting. There are times in our writing, editing, publishing, marketing process where we need to focus on one thing more than another. And I'm at a point in my process right now, having published my debut novel in January, and was doing a real hard push on marketing while I was actually writing the sequel to A Time for Us. And I am at a point right now where I feel my energy, my brain power is more valuable in actually writing, editing, and getting book 2 ready for my beta readers at this point. So with that decision, I have decided to pull back on actually doing a whole lot of marketing for A Time for Us. And what that means for me is that I'm pulling back, not abandoning, but I am pulling back from my social media presence. It takes a lot of my brain power because I mentioned in another video that social media, actually not one of my favorite things in the world, and marketing, definitely not one of my favorite things in the world. And putting those two things together takes a lot of time, brain power, and energy for me that I feel is better spent on actually writing and editing book 2 and getting that ready to get published. So I decided that this is a good time for me to just pivot away from social media. And in that decision, I thought that this would be a good topic to share here, because a lot of times we feel as indie authors that we have to do everything, and we do have to do everything ourselves. We have to wear so many hats, pretty much all the hats. We write, we edit, we market, we go through the publishing process. We are building our personal brands through social media, through YouTube, through newsletters. And many of us have full-time jobs that we're also committed to, while doing all the things we need to do to have a successful indie author career as well. That's a lot. So you can't do everything at 100%. That is an unrealistic expectation. So there are times when you need to just kind of stop, reassess where your energies are most valuably spent at that moment. And I want to talk about what pivoting means, at least for me, and hopefully you can relate to it as well. Pivoting doesn't mean failure in any aspect of our process. It doesn't mean that our original strategy was wrong. It doesn't mean that we won't return to that original strategy at some point. It simply means recognizing that one part of our strategy at this point in time is less important than another part of our strategy, and that's the part we need to focus on. Now, that certainly doesn't mean that I'm abandoning marketing, I'm abandoning social media. No. What that means is that it's going on the back burner for right now. But my strategy will shift. I will need to pivot once again once book 2 is in a position where it's closer to publication, then my strategy is going to have to pivot to heavily focus on marketing again, so I can promote book 2 along with the second edition of book 1 and the formal launching of my publishing imprint, Infinite Serenity Publishing. So when the writing becomes done for book 2, and it's probably, at that point I'm thinking it'd probably be in the hands of the editor, my developmental editor at that point, that will give me some time to put together my marketing strategy for book 2 and book 1 and the publishing company. So it's never abandoning one thing for another. It's reprioritizing one thing for another depending upon where you are in your process. I talked about this a bit in my video where I was talking about burnout and listening to your body when it's craving rest. Sometimes when we feel like we're not getting the results we need in one thing or another, or we feel we need to put more energy around one thing or another, we tend to push harder than stand back and reassess. And I feel like that is not talked about enough. I'm going to use the cliche. Sometimes it's best to work smarter, not harder. So instead of me losing sleep, literally losing sleep by trying to put more work hours into a day, thinking that that's going to get me the returns on my marketing that I would love to see, while getting all of the editing that I want done on my novel, and putting out my newsletter, and working my corporate job. No, that's just not smart. It is really trying to recalibrate where we need to focus our energy. So don't feel like pivoting is failure. It's not. Don't feel like because you're putting something on the back burner for now to give it less effort that it doesn't matter. That's not what it is at all. It's just putting your energies, focusing on what really needs your attention at this moment. And then when what you're doing at this moment doesn't need as much of your attention, then you can pull something off the back burner and work on that. So I hope what you take away from this video is that pivoting is not failure. Pivoting is not weakness. Pivoting is wisdom. Pivoting is understanding where your priorities are and calibrating your work accordingly. That will help you avoid burnout, and it will make sure that what's important right now is getting the attention it needs, rather than wasting energy on something that is not as important right now. I hope you found this topic interesting, because when I decided that I needed to pivot, I was like, I don't hear anyone talking about this. So I hope this helps you in your process. And if you have any questions, or talk to me about how you prioritize your work, how you determine what needs your full attention. Write down in the comments how you prioritize and pivot in your daily life and in your process of writing, and just wearing all the hats you need to wear as an indie author. I'd love to hear about it. So hopefully you will like, subscribe, and come back next week for another Writing Wednesday. Talk to you then. Bye.